Now, you said that when you were shooting the fifth season with Ileana Douglas, you was working on Suite 7,
Right.
which
We
I've
were.
got
I
to
was
tell you,
working on Suite 7. Yeah.
I love that show.
Oh, thank
It
you.
fascinates me. I think the episodes, some of them were very deep. All of them were very deep. Some of them were very beautiful.
Oh,
Uh,
thank you.
and the writing and the acting. Now that was Better Sleep Council was your
Better Sleep
client.
Council.
Did they
Yeah.
come to you the way Spherion had?
That was actually a client. We went. The Better Sleep Council had asked the agency, my agency, to come and pitch for their PR business,
Okay.
and we went in and we thought, this is not normally the kind of client that we work with. They asked, so we went down there and we came with only one idea. We didn't nothing else. Because most of the market, the PR stuff that they've been doing at the time were like surveys about how important sleep is. It's like, all right. Um, and so we went in there and we came with a few slides and I said, I'm going to propose an idea for a web series to you. That's the idea. And they loved it. I mean, it was completely different than anything they'd ever done. They needed awareness, like they really needed that kind of brand awareness. And the Better Sleep Council is made up of the heads of the various mattress companies.
Your certain,
Right,
yes.
exactly. And so because of that, and it's technically a nonprofit, but because of that, we couldn't have any name brand stuff in there. So the show had to be, the only real directive we had was it had to be, the messages had to have something to do with the importance of sleep and how it affects your health. And so I thought, all right, well, what do you do? How do you do that? And obviously we're going to have a bed. And how do you make a show, where like, the bed it's without it being a porn? And so I thought, well, what if we set it in a hotel room, where the bed is in the middle of the room the entire time, and you're not focusing on it, and it's not about that. So it's not about like good night's sleep. So you have a story around it, that happens in this room, and it all has something to do with. This was probably the thing with Suite 7 is that we really they went for it though. Like we really reached with how it hit their marketing messages. But really, in the end, it was a great, great mini series for them. And then their key target audience was women, because women make the mattress purchasing decisions apparently. And
Really?
yeah, and they were looking to target women that were like 35 and over, and so the one sticking point they had was how do we know that this series is going to appeal to that audience?
Is that where Lifetime came in?
Exactly. So then I called my friend who works in digital at Lifetime. I was like, look, you don't really have any original digital series. I have a show with, I think everyone on my show has been in a Lifetime movie. Um, you know, Here's a show that we will give you, really. We just want your distribution. You can sell ads against it and keep the revenue, because it's from a nonprofit, so the sponsor isn't going to make money on it. So they let us keep the sponsor card in there, and so Lifetime loved the idea. They loved the show. They distributed it. They promoted it on TV, and we had that amazing cast. But the number 7.
It wasn't just the cast. You had some wonderful writers and directors. I mean, it was the whole production.
It was a really heady, ambitious production. I mean, it was. Well, the number the reason why it was as heady as it was is that the big marketing message that the Better Sleep Council wanted to get across was that people should buy a new mattress every 7 years.
Yes. Ah.
So I thought, okay, 7. Ugh. Okay, so let's just do it. So we called it Suites. Once I figured out we're going to set it, it was actually inspired by the movie Four Rooms, which was one of my favorite movies for whatever reason. I was a huge fan of the like the Miramax movies of the '90s with like those huge casts of independent movies with those big casts like like Beautiful Girls and things like that. So I always loved like lots of people in one thing. And Four Rooms is another one of those. And um, so I thought, okay, we'll call it Suite Seven. We'll set it in this hotel room. Let's make it 7 different stories, like an anthology. And then I thought, well, let's really go for it, and let's make it 7 different stories, 7 writers, like with 7 directors, and like, really go nuts.
You brought in some amazing people, Mark Gant, Susan Miller.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yuri. Yuri.
I was going to say, I was blown away at the end of that episode when the
Thank
credits came up and I saw that he wrote that.
He did, and you know what's funny? I'll tell you a story about that. This is that episode. Um, Yuri wrote that the last episode of Suite Seven for Shannon Doherty and myself. My character was weaving in and out from the beginning, and then the last episode was going to be about me and this character. Um, and Yuri wrote that as a comedy. The reason why we played it as a drama, Shannon Doherty's father had passed away less than 2 weeks before. And they were very close, and it was very emotional. We didn't know if she was going to still do it, if she was going to be
grief to the performance.
Right. Well, so I was going to say the tears that she's crying in that episode are absolutely real, and so the script is about loneliness, and the script is about finding peace in being alone, and being left, or being and being abandoned and disconnected. And so when Shannon agreed to do it, it was a comedy. She loved the script, and then when she said no, I'll say it like she's so completely professional. I said, you do not have to do this. I mean, it's I would understand. She wanted to do it. She came, and so and Mark Gant directed that one. But we got the script, and she said, I can't be funny right now. Like I just can't. And so we went through it, and it's like, this would also work as a drama. We didn't tell Yuri that we were playing it that way.
Okay.
He didn't know because he wasn't on set. He wasn't there. And so we, and Mark Gant was directing it, he was amazing because she really needed. She's tough, but at that time she was not so tough. I mean, it was hard for her. And we did the scenes where she is her most emotional. She gave us 2 takes maximum because she couldn't do it. She just couldn't do it that many times that she would say, okay, I'm ready, because she was so raw anyway. And the reactions that you see of me in that episode, I'm just sitting there going, I like just focusing on her because she's so I think it's probably her best work I've seen a lot.
It was literally one of those, I think, when Kyle and I were watching it again during the marathon last month. We were texting back and forth. I'm in Florida, Kyle's in Colorado.
Yeah.
But those were WTF texts going back and forth. She was amazing. It was like, you could act.
Yeah, she got a WebVee for it, and she should have. I mean, she was amazing, and ever since, I mean, we met on Web Ventures, but like worked together on Suite 7. After we did Suite 7, like we've been working on stuff, here and there ever since. I mean, she's incredible.
Did you have a favorite episode of that show?
Of Suite 7? My favorite?
Yeah. Did you have one?
That one.
Other than the first one, okay.
I mean, if I had to choose, I mean, that one only because, it was just very cool. I just remember, like, I'm acting with Shannon Doherty. This is really
and
cool.
everything behind it and how it took place and morphed from
right, exactly. I think I loved. I also and again, I didn't mean not to make this all about me, but I wrote the captive audience episode.
Yes.
So Brian Austin Green, and that was amazing. And Shannon directed that. And so again, just like being like a total pop culture TV fanboy, just like being on that set with Shannon and Brian, like who hadn't worked together since 90210. And of course, I'm sitting there like, I would have so many questions about, and they were just really cool. And I think Brian was great. I love Good in Bed, the one that Susan wrote with Jamie and Eddie. That episode, Jamie and Eddie had worked together on Warehouse 13, a sci-fi show, and they had their characters on that show had amazing chemistry, but they never got together. And so I brought them back. We brought them back, and actually Mark Gant is responsible for that casting. He knew Eddie and Jamie, and brought them in. But we reunited them on Suite 7, and so the Warehouse 13 fans went crazy. But that was amazing.